As we begin the next chapter, it brings us to a temple for the celebration and the New Year countdown. With everyone celebrating and in a happy mood, the square is completely packed full of people. Just then someone announces over some speakers, "Can everyone hear me? We are about to begin the countdown. So everyone begin counting down with us when there is only 5 seconds left." 5. Within the last 5 seconds of the new year, our MC appears in the middle of the crowded area, wrapped in a blue aura, and with none the wiser of him. No one notices him just appearing out of nowhere. With everyone in the background roaring joyously and chanted 4. Our hero just stood there dumbstruck, with sweat trickling down his face, and he couldn't help but think, "Fuck." Looking downwards, he mumbles to himself, "I'm back once again." Looking down at his trembling hands, he thinks to himself, "I'm back just before I get transported to that shitty game in that messed up world. Even though I managed to make it all the way to the final round. Killing me off like that. It was definitely done on purpose. Who kills someone because there isn't enough people?" Clenching his fist in rage. 3. On the countdown of 2, he exhales a long sorrowful breath and wishing he could stop time right about now, so he could come up with a decent plan. Because he has no more runes available. This is the last chance or everything will be for naught. With everyone begun to chant the final countdown, 1. Our hero with confidence and determination. Well, this is it, the final try anyways. And in order to completely wreck this so-called game that everyone is forced into, in order to accomplish what I couldn't with 99 attempts, I will need to bring at least 4 other people with me to the final round. Putting his hands on his hood and removing it from over his head, he looks over to his right thinking, who would be the best to party up with. We rewind time back to just a few seconds ago. This dull-looking guy with a couple notches in his right brow, he was celebrating with his friends. Because this is the year that they finally become adults. You can hear one of his friends getting all excited and saying, "Finally! We can get rid of those fake IDs we have." A guy with a buzz cut chimes in and asks, "So what is everyone going to do after graduation?" He then looks over to his right and asks the double-notched brow guy named Ryu Min, "What about you? What is your plans after graduation?" He looks at everyone and says, "Me? Didn't I tell you guys before?" Like a typical hood rat, he grins and says, "I'm going to be a gangster." Haha, what a fag who says shit like that, lol. The guy with the scruffy brown hair looks at his with a surprised look on his face and says, "You're nuts, man. One wrong move and you're dead." The buzz cut guy cuts in by saying, "Shit, man, you were serious? I thought you were just messing around with us." Ryu Min just says, "YOLO. I want to live the way I want." The whole group just stared at him with deadpan faces, then it changed to awkward expressions. They all thought the same thing, what a fucking psycho. After graduation. Yup, definitely cutting ties with this nutcase. But just then the buzz cut chimes in and asks, "So what about your errand boy? What are you going to do with him after graduation?" Ryu Min says, "Oh, you mean that poor and miserable bastard?" Putting his finger to his chin and thinks for a moment, and says, "Well, I can't just let him go just because I graduate, right?" One of the other guys could help but chime in by saying, "Damn. I almost feel bad for the guy. He probably believes that he will finally be free from you after graduation." Just then the buzz cut guy cuts in and laughs and says, "Haha, this guy is definitely a demon in human skin." Double-notched brow, Ryu Min chuckles to himself, feeling proud and says, he doesn't get a choice in the matter. I have to mess with him as much as possible. Just then Scruffhead says, "Yo, Ryu Min? Isn't that your errand boy just over there?" Just then someone announces into the speakers, "Everyone get ready to chant the countdown. We will begin from the last 5 seconds." With a deranged smile on his face, Ryu Min says, "Oh, yeah, that is definitely my errand boy." 5. 4. Looking over at our hero, Ryu Min notices something off. 3. 2. Feeling stumped, Ryu Min just stood there, staring at our MC lost in his own thoughts. Just then our hero removes his hood. He stares back at Ryu Min without his previous low self-esteem, like he is someone else entirely. Just then everyone roariously chants out, 1. Completely dumbfounded. Ryu Min thinks to himself, there is something definitely off about him today. With our hero just staring at him with a blank look, Ryu Min feels antagonized and blurts out, "What the hell is wrong with him? Why is he glaring at me like I killed his family?" The black-haired guy pats Ryu Min and says, "Just leave him alone for now since it is going to be the new year. Yeah, you will have plenty of time to mess with him another day." Ryu Min just glares at him and scoffs, "Bitch. You're lucky, they'll let it slide today." While they all just stand around and joke around with each other, the fatty sniffles and says, "Guys, I'm finally an adult. Happy New Year, guys." Then out of nowhere, an angelic, yet a very seductive voice echoes out, "Humans are quite hilarious. They are all celebrating the new year, without any care in the world and not even knowing the massive predicament they are all in." Ryu Min pips up and says, "Hey guys? Did you hear something?" "Nah man, I didn't hear anything," but just then Buzzcut mumbles, "What the? I definitely heard something just now as well." The angel just hovering and looking down on everyone and seeing them look confused and completely oblivious, she then says, "It's actually hilarious. It's like watching a bunch of monkeys in cages at a zoo." As everyone looked up, everyone went into shock, and there was utter silence, wondering what the hell is going on. Then the murmurs could be heard going around, "Damn. Is that an angel? Are they shooting a movie during the New Year's event?" The scruff head was just staring dumbfounded and says, "Man, if someone were to say that she was real, I would definitely believe it." Our hero just glances over and thinks to himself, he really couldn't blame them at all for thinking that. Because he too acted in the same way as everyone else the first time, but now. Our hero looks up and thinks, so it has begun. It is still depressing though, this would be his 100th time going through the same shit. Pfft. The angel chuckles to herself, "You trashy humans. It seems all of you have fallen for my beauty? But just to give you a warning, don't get any strange ideas stuck in your head, because I would never mingle with lowly vermin like you. Seeing all your reactions, you must be able to hear my voice, right?" Just then someone starts bellowing out with spit spraying everywhere and pointing his finger at her, "Hey! What's your deal? Are you a stupid cosplayer or something? And who the hell are you calling a vermin? You're just a flying roll of toilet paper." Shaking his head mentally, our hero just thinks, what a shame. This happens every time. The angel, just floating there in silence with her face resting on her hands, smiling. Instantly her demeanor does a 180 flip, and with an overbearing atmosphere, she only says, "How irritating." And with a pop, his head exploded into a gory mess, with his arms still extended outwards and pointing his finger. The guy next to him gets drenched in blood, completely shocked, and with trembling hands he looks down. He sees the blood all over him. He freaks out and loses his mind. With a thud, the body fell and everyone started screaming and stumbling over each other. While everyone else was scurrying around like ants, trying to just get away, Ryu Min gets startled from the odd sound of the guy's head exploding and yells out, "What the fuck was that?" Then everyone could feel their scalps go numb. From a seductive and angelic voice to a completely demonic shrill, the angel just bellows out, "How dare you, a lowly human trash, to speak to me like that in such a crude manner? Me, a higher being. You humans have no rights at all, so don't talk to me like we are equal to begin with." While everyone is still frightened and confused, she changes her tone and tries to explain things by saying, "Unless you want your head blown off like the previous scum, then listen up, because I will only say this once." As the angel spreads her out, her arms and wings open and hovers there trying to look all benevolent, back in her seductive voice once again, "I will explain this in a simple and easy way for your simple little brains." While the angel goes off on her tangent, our hero could only sigh and lament in his heart, "I can't believe I have to listen to this once again." With a beautiful smile that is radiating with a holy light, she says, "You will begin the game on the 1st of every month, for 20 rounds. Every human will be transported to another world in order to play this game. And in that world, you humans will have only one thing to do. And it is quite simple. You will have to complete the given quest, and if you complete that said quest, You can return here to your world in reality with a reward. Double-notched brow Ryu Min and his crew whisper between each other by saying, "Hey? Do you know what she is talking about? Sounds like we can live if we do some sort of quests." The angel chuckles after hearing the duo speak and says, "You might be thinking, sounds like she will let us live if we complete some quests. But honestly, not everyone gets to survive just because you completed the quests. Only half of you will survive, and only the first half that have completed their quests will be spared." Everyone was completely shocked, and with their mouths hung wide open, you can hear more murmurs going around complaining how it's unfair. The angel just laughs with glee and enjoying the look of devastation on their faces. She opens her mouth once again and says, "You don't have to worry too much though, not everyone gets the pleasure of going. Only the humans between the ages of 15 to 29 from your planet get the luxury of participating in the fun." Our hero lifts his head and thinks back. "I never would have expected the first time I had to go through all this. I would get to listen to the same spiel over 100 times. After listening to her explanation, some old dude that was just sweating buckets and a creepy smile on his fists pumps in the air and couldn't help but explain out loud, "So I'm okay. I'm going to be okay." Hearing this, Scruffhead gets pissed off and grips the old man by his shirt and starts yelling at him, "You old fuck. You're that happy you get to live? Why the fuck are you taunting us?" Startled, the old man screams out for help. Ryu Min yells out, "Settle the fuck down. Can't you read the damn room? Didn't you see that guy's head explode just over there earlier?" The angel of course was completely ignoring the fools down below. She says out loud, "It looks like there is a total of 1,801,029,290 participants that get to play the game. Now then, since I gave everyone the rundown, let's get started now, shall we?" With a smile on her face, she envelopes everyone in a golden light. Then the next thing that happens, our hero opens his eyes and finds himself in a completely white room. Then he can hear the angel's voice once again, and she explains, "Now all of you should be in a white space. Before you get transport over, you will have to customize your avatar. Consider everything carefully, because you only get one chance, so choose wisely, enjoy and have fun." Our hero doesn't even need to think twice, because he has done this over 99 times already. And that also goes without saying, it's the same for his nickname as well. Our hero's name shall be Black Scythe. With the scene change, it brings us to a wide open field, with lush green grass and some mountains in the background and some leaves softly fluttering through the air. Now our hero reappears, once again, for the 100th time. Full generated and full of confidence, he could only think that this is it. The last time. Opening and clenching his fist, he thinks to himself, "I have been using the same appearance since my 12th attempt. This body almost feels like my real body compared to the one in the real world." Just then more people start to appear one after the other, looking confused and some losing their shit, while some others are stoked. While our hero could only sigh, looking around at everyone that changed their appearances to look charming or beautiful, he could only sigh once again and thinks to himself that they really shouldn't have done that. They will only become a bunch of targets, because here in this world it's the survival of the fittest. If you die here, you will actually die for real. Just then our hero looks over and thinks, it should be any time now. He's finally here, Ryu Min, walking like he owned the grassy fields here. PFFT, haha, what an idiot. He always picks the same shit and struts over with the same retarded smile, haha, what a clown, just like his personality. He's just a muscle-brained idiot. After thinking all this, the angel appears once again and hovers over everyone and giggles. With a single flap of her wings she says, "You guys must be happy with your avatars, right? To be honest, I prefer your fearful faces instead all these ugly smiles though. But anyways, now that all 1.8 million people are here, let's begin, shall we?" Then some idiot questions her, 1.8 million? It doesn't look like there is that many of us here." Flabbergasted, and with a deadpan face, she sighs and puts her hand on her head like she were to have a headache, and shakes her head and says, "As expected of you lowly humans." She lashes out and says, "Do you morons think that this is the only space? There are multiple different other planes, managed by other angels, so focus on yourselves and progress through the rounds or die. It's quite simple, so shut up. Now before we really start, they'll give you a quick rundown, think to yourself, status, and a prompt will appear and show your stats. And it will give you a full rundown on all your info, from your levels, stats, skills, equipment, and so on." Our hero, looking at his status page, could only sigh. This would be the 100th time he had to start over from scratch. As the angel continues on with her explanation, she asks, "Does everyone see their status windows? If you have ever played a game before in your life, then you would have realized this now. Every single one of you are complete trash. If you become stronger and survive to the very end and clear the 20th round." She smiles and outstretches her hand and says, "Not only will you be free, but you will be granted with a single wish." Just as she finished saying that, everyone gets all excited and starts murmuring to themselves, but then just cuts everyone off and says, "However, you will have to come in first in order to receive the wish." With a shit-eating grin she says, "Lastly, say inventory and look inside, because I left you a special gift in there." Ryu Min says inventory and gets startled, confused and a little shocked, and mumbles to himself, "A random rune fragment?" He puts his hand into his inventory and grabbed the red shard. Then the angel explains, "As you can see, this is what you call a rune fragment. It is a single-use item that gives you something at random, but there is a catch. It's a starter item, and it's only usable for those who are at level 1. In order to use the item, it is quite simple. Just grab it and say use." Just as Ryu Min says use, the red shard shattered in his hand and starts to swirl around in his hand. Completely caught off guard, Ryu Min opens his eyes wide in surprise and only says a single word, "Whoa." The angel just chuckles to herself in amusement, and says, "By the looks of things, everyone's luck was split between everyone else. You get what you get, it's just the luck of the draw. Now then, since everything is now completed, let's get started now, shall we?" She raises her hand into the air, and with a snap of her finger, everyone gets a quest log prompt saying, "Slay 100 goblins per person," and it shows how many people are in each region and how many people have completed their quests. Then out of nowhere, a goblin digitally appears out of thin air. He was hunched over and was gripping a serrated dagger, and had menacing red glowing eyes. This confused a few people, asking each other, "Is that a goblin? Whoa! For real? It really is like a game. Is this a beta for a VR beta game or something? First we get kidnapped, and now we are lab rats?" The angel just tells everyone to shut up and continues. Then she smiles and says, "Don't get too excited yet," because, as she spreads her arms out wide and with a bright smile on her face, she says, "Not all the goblins have been summoned quite yet." Just then, hundreds if not thousands of goblins start to appearing in droves. The sheer amount that got summoned scared the shit out of everyone. Some started to cower in fear and some others started stumbling and running. The angel starts laughing out loud, enjoying their expressions, and says, 10,000 humans versus 50,000 goblins. With a demonic-looking smile on her face she says, "Now fight. To your death." With a savage roar and spit flying everywhere, the goblins start rushing forwards. With this, the people that stood their ground before even started to become nervous, and a few other people started yelling at the goblins saying, "No! Don't come any closer, stay away!" And the epic Kiwaya! While everyone is trying to get as far away as possible from the goblins, one guy steps forwards. With a stoic and a nonchalant expression on his face, which surprises everyone, he just continues walking forward. With his hands in his pockets, like he just out on having fun with a scenic stroll. This confused everyone, thinking he is mental. They yell out and tell him to come back because it's too dangerous. There's goddamn monsters over there. Our hero just ignored them, of course, and continued on, completely pissed off, and with a determined look he charged forward and drop kicks and completely obliterated the goblin's face and thinks, "This is the last fucking time." And there you have it. That's the end of this chapter. I gotta say, this is a pretty sick series. I hope I gave it a little bit of justice though, because, so far, I thought it to be quite entertaining. But anyways, please leave a comment about what you think so far. Please subscribe and thanks for watching.